Hello everyone, welcome once again to Motorland Aragon. This is the second round of EUROCUP-3. Today is the last race day. Today the championship will close the curtains to this second round here at Aragonese soil. We are expecting a very exciting race after a second qualifying session that left the grid in the first row to Esteban Masson, the driver from Campos Racing, followed by Bruno Del Pino and also Francesco Braschi. Yesterday was Masson, the protagonist of the race and also the free practice session. That means that he's doing an amazing performance on the track. Yesterday at the race, we've seen a little inconvenience that made the classification to change a lot. But anyways, it was Masson, the driver, who won the race. And let's see what is going to happen today. But we're expecting a very great race. The teams are ready to finish today and to end this second round here at Motorland Aragon. And of course, we really want you to enjoy as well as we did yesterday. And now it's time to my colleague Seb Ogaard to continue giving you all the details of this race.
And then through the long left-hander at turn 10, it feeds them into the second half of this Motorland Aragon lap. Well, thank you very much for joining us today for this, the closing race, the second weekend of the inaugural EUROCUP-3 season. These cars, which are essentially uprated versions of the Ford Formula Regional car, they are a good bit lighter. They've got an updated aero kit as well, running on Hankook tyres, and with the Auto Technica Alfa Romeo engine giving a great level of performance. And yesterday we saw plenty of wheel-to-wheel action, including some pretty spectacular moments down into this hairpin here at turn 15, where at one point the drivers were running 3 wide. we'll hope for a repeat of that again today. That is car 25, Sebastian Ogaard, yesterday's runner-up, who, despite a late safety car when Nick Gilks was pushed into retirement, was unable to really threaten Esteban Masson. So already the countdown on the grid well underway. The green flag lap will start in just 5 minutes' time. This Motorland Aragon circuit, always one that provides a good challenge for the drivers. A mixture of corner speeds, importance of really stringing the lap together in order to get the peak performance. We saw yesterday the best of the action coming not unsurprisingly at the bottom hairpin at turn 15, but also into turn 1 as well, where Javier Sagrera was unfortunate to be pitched into a spin in his Podium Motorsport car, and Sagrera lines up in 5th position today. Big day for the Palou family, of course, with Alex Palou, the team principal, on pole position for the Indianapolis 500 a little bit later on. So the cars forming up on the grid, and there is our pole sitter, former star of French Formula 4, Esteban Masson. And Masson hadn't looked likely to challenge his teammate to sign the pole in Puvazak until the Thai driver hit trouble, but thereafter Masson perfectly controlled the race. Alongside him then on the front row of the grid is Bruno Del Pino, and Del Pino looked really punchy in terms of his performance during the course of yesterday's race. The Spaniard finishing 5th overall, starring in the rookie class. Not a shock to see him right up at the front of the grid today. However, at this circuit is a very short run from the grid through to the first turn, so it needs to be an absolutely stellar start from Del Pino, particularly as he's on the dirty side of the circuit, to make sure that he will be able to get the jump on the pole sitter. Moving on down the grid, and that is Francesco Braschi, the championship leader in his Campos racing car. And Braschi, who's not been off the podium in any of the 3 races so far this season, although it has been a slight law of diminishing returns because he finished 1st in the season opener at Spa, then 2nd, then 3rd. He will be nonetheless hoping for another podium finish to retain his advantage at the top of the standings. But at the same time, if Esteban Masson were to convert for a double victory, then he would move up to a very solid 2nd in the standings. There is 25 points to play for the race winner. That is José Garfías, qualified in 5th position, one of the MP Motorsport runners. Garfías was right in the mix throughout the course of yesterday's race as well. So already the grid being cleared away. You can see from the red lights on the gantry, just 3 minutes until they get waved onto their green flag formation lap. This is the point of peak concentration for the drivers. So there is Javier Sagrera, who we mentioned earlier in the Podium Motorsport car. Sagrera involved in contact into turn 1 yesterday. That was what saw him rotating to the rear of the field, and then he peeled into the pit lane during the safety car period. So circuit ready for action. Here is how they line up. Esteban Masson and Bruno Del Pino on the front row from Francesco Braschi, the championship leader, and yesterday's pole sitter to Sanabol in Puvazak. Then José Garfías in 5th from Javier Sagrera in 6th. On to the 4th row, Sebastian Ogaard, yesterday's runner-up, alongside Miron Pingasov in the 2nd of the Podium Motorsport cars. Then Suleiman Zamfari and Nick Gilks, with the pack being rounded out by Sebastian Graveland and William Carlson. So that is how they line up. As best we can tell, all 12 of them are there. Or possibly not. Is that a gap there on the 2nd row of the grid where Puvazak should be? Just check the timing screen, see if any of them are in the pits. But certainly we've got 6 cars, as you can see to the left of your screen. I make that 5 to the right, and a gap possibly on the 2nd row. So the frustrating weekend for the tyre driver continues, and that looks like the Podium Motorsport car, doesn't it, of Javier Sagrera there. So that proving to be some pre-race drama as the field depart now on their formation lap. Now, whether or not we will get the missing car joining from the pit lane once they go racing, we'll find out. But for now, the cars on their formation lap. It's Motorland Aragon circuit. Never played host to Formula 1, but has always a stalwart venue for the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship whilst that was still running, and has proved a very popular place for junior single-seater categories to compete, alongside being home to a motorcycle Grand Prix as well. The Alcanis region, a fine motorsport heritage, having hosted street races back prior to the construction of the Motorland Aragon circuit. This state-of-the-art permanent facility has proved very popular since its opening in 2009. So the drivers just getting a little bit of warmth into their tyres. That is the 99 car of José Garfías, and the easy-ish way to pick out who is who is the bright orange cars are the MP Motorsport runners, the white and black cars are the Campus runners, and then the white, black and red with the black chevrons on the nose cone are the Podium Motorsport entries. Esteban Masson heads down the back stretch, and whether or not the camera just a little bit shaky because the wind has picked up, we will find out in due course. So the race duration is 30 minutes plus 1 lap. This is the point where the drivers will all start to be thinking about how they're going to react when the lights go out. What ground can they hope to make? Because whilst it is possible to pass in these EUROCUP-3 cars, as we saw yesterday, because of the slick swing's nature, you have to work very hard to create those opportunities. Therefore, the start of the race and any safety car periods we may have will be the best opportunity for the drivers to make up significant ground in one swoop. So up to the grid then comes the white car of Esteban Masson. Alongside him on the front row of the grid is Brunel Del Pino. Then third on the grid we have got Francesco Braschi. Unfortunately no fourth place starter, so that means that we have got then José Garfías and Javier Sagrera on row 3, and Sagrera with possibly a clear shot on that inside track. So everybody in position now. We're about to get racing for the 4th time this season in the EUROCUP-3. As the red lights flash out and away we go. Who gets the jump? It would look like a good start from Braschi from 3rd, as Esteban Masson leads into turn 1, and Braschi indeed is able to go around the outside of Bruno Del Pino to take that 2nd place. So it's a trio of MP Motorsport cars who are next along. Esteban Masson to the 4, Francesco Braschi just behind him, then good dicing in behind. Seb Ogaard, I think 3rd of that trade. Bruno Del Pino just ahead of José Garfías. And then contact behind, and that's Javier Sagrera who again gets pushed off the road. Hopefully he's not picked up any damage in that incident. It was possibly one of the Campos cars, Sulaiman Zamfari, who made contact with him. And now Sagrera runs alongside his Podium Motorsport teammate Miron Pingasov as they wind downhill. Into turn 10 they go. Teams watching on the pit wall. Shakings of the head as Esteban Masson leads the way from Braschi. Then we've got Bruno Del Pino, top rookie from José Garfías, Seb Ogaard. And that quintet just trying to put a little bit of daylight between themselves. Sulaiman Zamfari then in 6th. Miron Pingasov in 7th. Sebastian Gravland, Javier Sagrera, Nick Giltz, and William Carlson for Puvasak. Unfortunately, the non-starter. There they are. Field makes a great sight as they head down the back stretch. certainly Esteban Masson not romping clear into the distance just yet. And it was through the section onto the back straight yesterday where we saw that Braschi was particularly strong. Bit of chopping and changing behind, I think Sebastian Graveland possibly making the move on Miron Pingasov. As over the line they come to complete the first lap of the race. Just 6/10 the gap between the leading duo. Bruno Del Pino in third. And what we saw yesterday was the drivers used the first third or so of the race just to settle themselves in, take advantage when they could, then the race really kicked into gear when they got to about the 10-minute mark. That's when the drivers felt the heat in the tyres, felt the cars working as they wanted to, and that's when we started to see the moves being made. But that said, you can see this leading group of cars all still running closely together. It was indeed a move from Sebastian Graveland on Miron Pingasov. That was the 7th position and the final spot on the rookie podium. Pingasov then clear of Sagrera and Giltz. Running a little bit wide there was Sebastian Graveland. That gives half an opening to Miron Pingasov. Pit wall conferences. That group of 6 at the front of the field has just broken clear. The really close battle at the moment is the one for 7th position. Sebastian Graveland coming under an awful lot of pressure from Miron Pingasov, and then Javier Sagrera, the third car you can see in shot now. Car number 3, desperate to find a way past his teammate as they jink down through the chicane onto the back straight then. A group of 6 cars, then a group of 5, but all still very much within sight of each other. Nobody quite close enough to challenge on this occasion as they run downhill over the point where the motorcycle circuit parts company from the 4-wheel version. And on the brakes through the hairpin. Here's another look at the start. Brilliant getaway from Esteban Masson, but then just behind Francesco Braschi, you could see that he got the jump possibly in Bruno Del Pino, and being on the slightly grippier side of the circuit, able to take full advantage of it. Now here was Suleiman Zafari to the inside of Javier Sagrera. I don't think there's anything malicious in that, more a case of 2 drivers looking to get into a space that was only really big enough for 1 3/4 cars. Back to the front of the field, Esteban Masson a little bit further clear of Francesco Braschi compared to the last time we saw them, and that gap out to just shy of 9/10 of a second. Masson setting the fast lap of the race last time around, perhaps unsurprisingly, given he's at the front of the queue. Instead, Braschi has got Brunel Del Pino on his tail. Now, in qualifying this morning, Masson and Del Pino, in terms of absolute times, were very much the class of the field. So if that qualifying form were to roll over into the race, you'd suggest that Bruno Del Pino, as the car comes to him, might fancy his chances here at challenging Francesco Braschi. Braschi running out a little bit wide there over the curbs. And we've seen in a couple of the races for other categories this weekend a plethora of time penalties being handed out for track limit violations, and indeed Francesco Braschi does pick up a warning flag for a track limit violation as well, pretty much the entire field. Don't went any further over the curb there, they end up in the Mediterranean as they head down the back stretch, coming to the end of the 3rd lap of the race. Meanwhile, Javier Sagrera still looking to find a way past his teammate. Now this could be the moment. He pulls the pin, goes for the move to the inside, and Javier Sagrera goes through, takes 8th place away from Miron Pingasov. Now sets his sights on Sebastian Graveland. Now the frustration here for Sagrera will be once, if or when he can clear Sebastian Graveland, he's then got a fair bit of ground to make up, about 2 seconds or so up to the leading 6 cars. Runs out a little bit wide as well through turn 1. What you can see as well is that as Graveland's mirrors fill with Sagrera and Pingasov, then Nick Gilks and William Carlson just begin to drop back a little bit in 10th and 11th place respectively. We've got a 1 second penalty for Sebastian Graveland for track limits. So actually, if things were to stay like this, the checkered flag, then the adjusted time result would put Javier Sagrera ahead of Sebastian Graveland. The drivers will be thinking about that at all at this moment. We're only 7 minutes into the race. And here comes the race leader, Esteban Masson. But the battle for second is definitely coming together. Bruno Delpino is challenging Francesco Braschi, and he's bringing José Garfías with him for company. There's Sagrera. Oh, again, all of these drivers, they are using all of the road and possibly a little bit more. Down onto the back straight they go. Now, Sagrera might be close enough on this occasion to apply the pressure to Sebastian Graveland. Let's see if that's the case. Warning flag is issued to Sagrera for the track limits as Graveland covers the inside line. Sagrera looks to pull alongside him as they head through the left-hand hairpin, then the right-hand kink, or they shoot on uphill. Most of them, when they've gone and did it in the first few laps, you hope that the flag marshal is going to get physiotherapy at the end of the weekend, because there's quite a few of them picking up track limit violations, and I'm sure the teams will be communicating it to them as well, just to keep everything in order, because it'd be so frustrating for the drivers to miss out on that basis. Now here comes Sagrera all over the tail of Sebastian Graveland to wait for them to burst into view. Here they come, the orange car of Graveland, then the black, white and red car of Sagrera. This battle for 7th and 8th position. Definitely suggests at the moment that Javier Sagrera has got the legs over Sebastian Graveland. Whether or not he can find a way through, another matter. Graveland, who last year split his Formula 4 seasons between Denmark, where he was dominant, and Spain, where he was less dominant. And here they come, and now Sagrera really close, jinks to the inside, get on the brakes into the left-hander, turn that has been the scene of many incidents over the years. Here for Sagrera, the exit is all important, the same for Sebastian Graveland as well, as they head down onto the back straight. Battle for second position still is in fairly close contact. Esteban Masson at the front of the field now leads by 1.6 seconds. Then Francesco Braschi, Bruno Delpino and José Garfías all close together. Again, Graveland covers the inside line. Sagrera pushed to the outside. He's going to try and make an issue of it this time, but he's going to run out of road. Sebastian Graveland successfully defends once more, and crucially, he is able just to pause the point at which Sagrera gets on the power as they come up the hill. That said, the Podium Motorsport driver is right with him, forces Graveland to the inside line. Again, Sagrera challenging to the outside. No way through. Really good defensive driving thus far from Sebastian Graveland. Runs out a little bit wide. Does that give any space through turns 2, 3 and 4? Not really. It's Sagrera who runs wide, and Sebastian Graveland got that MP Motorsport car in the right places at the right times. They slightly slow themselves down there. There you see Miran Pingasov and Nick Gilks coming into the mix as well. As William Carlson just ran wide at the very back of the shot. Super scrap this then for 7th place. Oh, and did Graveland run wide there? Has that allowed Sagrera through? No, not quite. Now this quartet almost running nose to tail downhill. Javier Sagrera is going to have to make this move pretty quickly, because otherwise he's going to have trouble from Miran Pingasov and Nick Gilks. Meanwhile, Graveland is now defending to the point where he is definitely slowing himself down a little bit. And those behind him, it's starting to be the cork in the bottle as they jink through the chicane. Onto the back stretch, these 4 cars covered by about 1.8 seconds. even a little bit less than that as they close up under braking. Certainly in a straight line. Mr. Graveland has got a good car underneath him again. Covers the inside line. That time goes very much to the inside. Sagrera can't draw alongside and swoop round. Ingersoll and Gilks was also pretty close between the pair of them. And everybody slewing for position. But now here's the moment as they all run out very wide. Sebastian Graveland losing out then to Sagrera. But for how long? As they're going to go 3, almost 4 wide into turn 1. That's Nick Gilks to the inside of your picture. And it's Gilks who's the beneficiary. Oh no, contact. Graveland and Sagrera collide. And for the second day in a row, it's a rotation at turn 1. Javier Sagrera. Sebastian Graveland, however, definitively out of the race because you could see that his front right suspension was bent to an angle that the manufacturers very much did not intend. Sagrera gets underway. Now here is how it all started. They went Noah's Ark style, 2 by 2 into the hairpin. Everybody came out of all sorts of weird and wonderful angles, but it was Nick Gilks who was the driver who was the least troubled. There's Gilks on the right hand side of your picture. Sagrera comes across and there's not really any space there for Sebastian Graveland. Miron Pingasov takes evasive action, and a real pity, such a great battle has ended in tears, and it also has resulted in the safety car for the recovery of Sebastian Graveland's MP Motorsport machine. So the race brought under control. We have got 16.5 minutes plus a lap remaining. And of course, the safety car, as we saw yesterday, lapping in about 3.5 to 4 minutes per lap. So that is going to whittle away the race clock in no time at all. Esteban Masson converting pole position, currently the fastest lap to his credit as well. And we saw yesterday that he was able to take full advantage post safety car. So the order is Masson from Braschi, then Bruno Delpino, José Garfías in 4th, Sebastian Ogaard in 6th, Suleiman Zamfari in 6th, Nick Gilks in 7th. That would appear to be Javier Sagrera stalking away. It's a fairly hefty collision that he had with Sebastian Graveland. I wouldn't be at all surprised if there wasn't a little bit of damage to that Podium Motorsport car. A fairly lonely trudge across the gravel trap. What you can't see there with Sebastian Graveland's car is the suspension on the front right corner is all askew, and that is going to need the car to be winched onto a flatbed before it can go anywhere. Marshall's gamely pushing the Podium Motorsport car of Javier Sagrera uphill to a place of safety. And all of that is potentially going to prolong the safety car period. Another look at the start. And that was exactly as it should have been from Esteban Masson. He will be very, very pleased with that. And that was Javier Sagrera's first adventure. And this was, as we saw yesterday, a multi-car moment at the hairpin, leading to a big sort-out. And that was, unfortunately, just one of those incidents that you sometimes get. It was an aggressive swoop across from Javier Sagrera, but much as he will have willed it, you can't really make Sebastian Graveland just disappear either. And as a result, contact and both drivers into retirement. So recovery work underway, 14 minutes and a lap remaining. And for the EUROCUP-3 competitors, from here it's just a short break. In a fortnight's time, they head to the Cathedral of Speed in Monza before on to Zandvoort in mid-July, and then a fairly lengthy summer break before the season reconvenes in Jerez on the 23rd and 24th of September. A week later, it's on to the Estoril circuit before going to Valencia on the 14th of October, and then the season finishing on the 11th and 12th of November at the circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya. So plenty of racing ahead in EUROCUP-3, and on the basis of this weekend, Esteban Masson and Francesco Braschi very much established as the drivers to beat in terms of the championship pecking order. Delpino doing a great job in the rookie class as well. So we'll see whether or not this proves to be the final lap behind the safety car or not. No signal as yet on our live timing whether or not the safety car is going to be in on this lap. We'll certainly find out in the third sector whether or not the lights go out. Top the safety car. So for Francesco Braschi, this the opportunity possibly to reapply some pressure to teammate Esteban Masson. The story of the race so far between the Campos Racing teammates has really been that Masson was in control and Braschi consistently having his mirrors filled by the MP Motorsport car of Bruno Delpino. José Garfías in fourth, Sebastian Ogaard definitely strong pace, and then sixth place, the second of the rookie runners is Suleiman Zamfari. Nick Gilks in seventh, the first of the Drivex entries, alongside his teammate William Carlson, who currently rounds out the rookie podium, with Miron Pingasov having been shuffled to the tail of those still running as a result of being delayed in the Sagrera and Graveland incident. That looks like lights out on the safety car to me, so we should be going racing once more at the end of this lap. And that means we'll probably have a repeat of what we did yesterday, which is Esteban Masson really slowing the field down this back straight, letting the safety car build up a big buffer so that he can pull the pin and accelerate back to green flag racing as they come out of the bottom hairpin. So the safety car board still flashing, but the drivers will be aware the safety car will be in on at the end of this lap. So coming to the end of the 9th lap of the race. By the time they get going, just about a third of the race still to go, so we should get another 5 or 6 laps of racing, provided that we don't have any more comings together. Here they go then, accelerating up the hill, racing once more. It's Esteban Masson who leads them through. So the lights go green. Anybody close enough to challenge? Bruno Delpino staying right underneath the rear spoiler of Francesco Braschi, but not quite close enough to challenge. José Garfías then in fourth, looking to do much the same from Sebastian Ogaard. Garfías looking particularly racy, filling teammate Delpino's mirrors. Looking to the same, somebody's car's squealing a little bit as Francesco Braschi trying to apply the pressure to Esteban Masson. So this is an opportunity to shake up the order once more. So far they all seem to be running in not too much drama. Down through turn 10. And the leading duo of Campos cars just trying to break away. The MP Motorsport team watch from the pit wall. This leading group of 5 or so cars, the 2 Campos runners, then the 3 MP Motorsport drivers trying to break clear of Suleiman Zamfari in the third of the Campos cars. The Drivex pairing of Nick Gilks, William Carlson. Again, somebody trailing a little bit of brake into the downhill chicane. Now, it could be here. Sebastian Ogaard has got a run on José Garfías because Garfías was a little bit offline as they went through the chicane. So that third orange car of Sebastian Ogaard, right with his teammate, gives the leading trio the opportunity just to try and break clear. Then we've got Zamfari and Gilks running nose to tail as well, but nobody close enough to challenge into the hairpin this time around. Maybe a little start at the hairpin there was Esteban Masson, because for my money Francesco Braschi was getting onto turns with him. We'll find out in a moment as they come through to the next camera angle But the leading duo are right together. And now Esteban Masson, for the first time this weekend, has to defend his lead. Francesco Braschi looks to the outside. Masson covers the line, but they slow themselves down, and Bruno Delpino is right with them. And suddenly it's a three-way fight for the lead of the race. Masson just a little bit slow coming out of the bottom hairpin, and it serves to join the field right together. A good first sector though for Esteban Masson. He stayed on line. Francesco Braschi has got Delpino filling his mirrors. Garfías and Ogaard decide that looks like fun. They come to join in as well. So it's a five-way battle for the honours. But for Francesco Braschi, he knows that he's forced Masson into one mistake. Can he maybe fashion another opening? Masson takes a big bite of curves as they twist downhill. Leading duo trying to shake off the trio of MP Motorsport cars as well. After that moment at turn one, it just would appear as if Francesco Braschi's 4 tenths back, but that's not going to keep him quite close enough as they head down the back straight, unless there's an error from Masson, and Masson using every millimetre of road to carry as much speed as possible down the hill. I'm sure Francesco Braschi's going to be quite close enough. This train of cars all running very, very closely together as they plummet down into the braking zone at the bottom hairpin. Bruno Delpino again asking the question of Francesco Braschi and looking to the outside, and Delpino's going to try and force this here. He's going to be forced out very, very wide, and now that opens the door to José Garfías to challenge. Robust defence from Francesco Braschi, and it's Garfías, the third car in that train, who carries the most speed up the hill. As again, Francesco Braschi will have to move right across to the pit wall. Bruno Delpino might fancy his chances under braking. He's going to try and swoop through. Oh, not much space there. Out wide, and he can't go through. That surely is going to give Garfías the opportunity, but not quite. There's Ogaard there as well too. Brilliant racing, wheel-to-wheel stuff. Now it's suddenly Sebastian Ogaard at the back of that train, who's carrying the momentum, all of which suddenly serves to give Esteban Masson a 1.6 second lead. Having pulled the pin there, Bruno Delpino, he's got a fair bit of work to do. He's kept back onto terms with Francesco Braschi, but brilliant racing. They all kept it clean as well. It would have been very easy to have a coming together. To turn 9, to turn 10. As they battle, they have broken clear of Suleiman Zamfari, Nick Gilks, Miran Pingasov and William Carlson, who are all entwined in a fairly close battle. As the 3 MP Motorsport drivers duke it out for the final spot on the rostrum. Things stay as they are. It's going to be 3 victories this season for Campos Racing versus 1 for MP Motorsport. So José Garfías looks to carry the speed down the hill, and this time around it's Bruno Delpino who may well be on the defensive. There's Masson, the race leader. Decent buffer now over Francesco Braschi, who in turn has got a second over Bruno Delpino. José Garfías thinking better of instigating a manoeuvre into the hairpin. Pretty much guarantee if the 3 MP Motorsport cars stay together, lifts the airport place to the price that we promised, no longer be forthcoming from the team management. So they sprint through over the line. Got just 4.5 minutes plus a lap to go, so they're probably going to get 3-4 laps more out of this one. Still plenty of battles to be resolved. Esteban Masson, fastest lap to his name. Masson is the driver very much in control of this weekend. 2-second penalty for Miran Pingasov as a result of track limits, so we'll wait and see how the final order shakes out. There's got a few drivers picking up penalties for track limits, but for Miran Pingasov that would just see him dropping down to 9th behind William Carlson if things were to stay as they are. Got some great racing here, the Motorland Aragon, second weekend of the EUROCUP-3 season. Still, José Garfías is filling the mirrors of his teammate Bruno Del Pino. The other thing you do wonder is, did Del Pino ask a little bit too much of his Hankook tyres when he went on the attack against Francesco Braschi? Is that just into the final laps of the race going to give a little bit of an edge to José Garfías? We'll find out. They run downhill. Still the entire field within a camera shot. Shows just how competitive this EUROCUP-3 category is. All weekend we have had under 1.5 seconds, splitting the entire field in qualifying times. And that has translated into some incredibly close racing as well. Esteban Zamfari, he is ahead of Nick Gilks. Gilks, the Canadian driver, who was a frustrated retiree yesterday, currently on course for 7th place finish. All goes out, tells the drivers how much longer they've got to run in the race. They'll probably be able to discuss that as well as they come through. I'll see the race clock ticking down. At the end of this lap, this driver Esteban Masson will head into his penultimate lap, Motorland Aragon. Masson currently on course to the gentleman's set, pole position, race victory and the fastest lap. It will give him the maximum points haul from today as well, with in second position Francesco Braschi continuing his continuous run of podium finishes thus far in the EUROCUP-3 season, and he gets straight on home turf next time out in Monza. Still lots for the teams just to monitor, and certainly the battle for third position is still not definitively decided. At the front of the field though, it suggests that probably the leading duo, reasonably settled. Bruno Del Pino likewise has just about fended off that challenge from José Garfías. Garfías' big moment really was when Del Pino and Braschi tripped over each other. He couldn't quite capitalise. That's the beauty of a category like the EUROCUP-3, is it really teaches the drivers racecraft. They're going wheel to wheel, but they're still having to think a corner or two ahead to make sure the cars are well positioned, and that's a little bit of a roll of the dice there from José Garfías, just asking a question. Bruno Del Pino as they came into the hairpin. Asking Ogaard though, possibly wasn't anticipating his teammates to do that either, and so Ogaard in 5th, unable to capitalise, but as they sprint through to start the penultimate lap of the race, still got just shy of 11 kilometres here around the Motorland Aragon with which to sort themselves out. Yes, wide in his pursuit of Bruno Del Pino. Doesn't really open the door to Sebastian Ogaard. As trio of MP Motorsport drivers running line astern. There is Ogaard, yesterday's runner-up. The Campos Racing duo lead the way. Sebastian Ogaard applying a little bit of pressure to José Garfías, and this is the beauty of a three-way scrap, isn't it? Because at one moment you're challenging the car in front, the next you're having to consult your mirrors, see what's going on behind you. Sebastian Ogaard snatch a late 4th place finish. It's a case of trying to force the error and then create the opening. We've got a 1 second track limit penalty for Francesco Braschi. Now, that won't affect things as it currently stands, because he's already over a second clear of Bruno Del Pino. But any further track limits violations, and that would cause Braschi quite a lot of trouble. We've got a 2 second track limit penalty for Bruno Del Pino, so Del Pino, from my money on adjusted time, that is going to push him well down the order. So this battle between Garfías and Sebastian Ogaard becomes the one for the final podium position. I did wonder earlier in the race the drivers had to be mindful of the track limits, and now it's possibly going to get costly as Sebastian Ogaard going to make the move into the first corner for the final time. No, he's not. He's right with José Garfías. mention the penalties that have been acquired through the field are now going to have some sort of bearing, I think, on the overall podium order. We'll find out exactly how it's going to shake out momentarily. There you see the on-track order, but as we say, I think Bruno Del Pino will find himself shuffled down to 4th, if not 5th, by the time the various penalties have worked their way through. None of which is of any concern for Esteban Masson. He has been in complete control, really, ever since midway through the first race of the weekend, as the Frenchman didn't have the greatest weekend in Spa, but he's more than making up for it here at the Motorland Aragon. On his trip to Belgium, Masson just a 6th and 7th place finish, but he has clearly found something to his liking in terms of the setup between rounds, and now he is right up there. And this has been an imperious performance from Esteban Masson. Lights to flag. He runs downhill to the hairpin for the final time, gets on the brakes, moves down through the gears, and then accelerates uphill through the final couple of curves. The checkered flag is ready and waiting, and it's going to be the double here at the Motorland Aragon for Esteban Masson in the EUROCUP-3. He takes victory for Campos Racing. Francesco Braschi across the line in 2nd, and Del Pino 3rd on the road. But on adjusted time, José Garfías completes the podium, and Seb Ogaard goes 4th. Suleiman Zamfari to 5th, so he claims the rookie honours. Nick Gilson 6th, Bruno Del Pino then shuffled to 7th, and Miran Pingasov in 8th to complete the rookie podium. So a really, really entertaining race from the EUROCUP-3 runners. We have thoroughly enjoyed that one. Some great dicing all the way through the field, and it's exactly the type of racing that you hope for from a category like this. Competitive, incredibly closely matched, and attacking the moves into the bargain as well. So Esteban Masson, he takes victory. Francesco Braschi into 2nd position. Bruno Del Pino will be immensely frustrated. Those track limit penalties costing him dearly, and also a late penalty for William Carlson as well for track limits, potentially costing him 3rd on the rookie podium. So Suleiman Zamfari, as a result, the top rookie. José Garfías 4th on the road, but classified as a 3rd place finish. As the drivers sprinting back round towards Parc Fermé. An opportunity to celebrate on the rostrum. Really enjoyable racing, and certainly sets us up very, very nicely for the remainder of the season. The cars between the 4 teams in the championship represented here this weekend, all very evenly matched, and the qualifying times showing the same for the drivers as they peel into the pit lane. Their weekend's work done. And somewhat frustrated Bruno Del Pino, being informed that he picked up the time penalty, didn't finish in 3rd overall. So José Garfías waved into that 3rd place, perhaps unexpectedly. Garfías in the thick of the action. Mexican driver for MP Motorsport rolling to a halt as we wait for the victorious Campos Racing runners. Well, Garfías certainly had to work hard for that one. Hugs and congratulations with the mechanics. That's our leading duo, certainly taking their time to come back round to part firme. Perhaps unsurprisingly, plenty for Esteban Masson to savour from his day's work. Pole position, fastest lap and race victory for Campos. So Francesco Braschi, second position. Solid performance from him, although never quite able to really, except for that one moment, really threaten Esteban Masson. You always felt that Masson had just about got enough in hand. It was that one mistake coming out to the hairpin that gave the opening. But otherwise, Masson celebrates with the nose stand. 2 from 2 here at the Motorland Aragon. Receives the congratulations from the team. Handshakes all around. Handshake as well between the teammates. So weekend 2 celebrate for Campos Racing, 2 victories for them. And 3 happy drivers in part firme. Francesco Braschi, 1 victory, 2 second places and a 3rd place so far this season, and that is giving him a very, very handy points haul for this stage of the campaign. Let's take a look back at some of the action of the race. That was the first lap. Javier Sagrera just tipped off the road. Chance to enjoy some of the dicey through the field. This was when it all got a little bit more busy in the midfield as Sagrera looked to challenge Sebastian Ogaard, Sebastian Gravland rather, a pair of them wheel to wheel for several laps. This was the moment it came to a head at the hairpin. They ran wide. It allowed Miron Pingasov and Nick Gilks into the mix.
Esteban, congratulations. Good job, easy race and a perfect weekend for you. How did you see?
Easy race. I'd not say every race is quite hard, but yeah, today was a really great day for me, for the team. Obviously 1-2 is super great. Yeah, grateful for the team for giving me a supercar today. Yeah, pole, win, fastest lap, so yeah, really happy today.
Enjoy, congrats.
Thank you.
A look then at the final classification. Esteban Masson victorious from Francesco Braschi, then José Garfías in 3rd from Sebastian Ogaard. Sullivan Zanfari, the top rookie, in 5th, ahead of Nick Gilks, then Bruno Del Pino and Miron Pingasov rounding out the rookie podium ahead of William Carlson. Javier Sagrera, Sebastian Gravland, 2 frustrated retirees. Sapel in Thrupuvasak, unfortunately not starting from 4th on the grid. So this is one of the talking points of the race, the coming together between Sebastian Gravland and Javier Sagrera. Net result, both drivers into retirement. They will probably have very differing accounts as to how it played out. Just a wonderful battling after the safety car. This was the decisive moments of the podium. Francesco Braschi fending off the attentions of Bruno Del Pino. Despite Del Pino trying everything he could, no way through on the road for José Garfías, but track limit penalties eventually costing Del Pino. So waiting for the drivers to come up onto the podium where they will receive the trophies and the fruits of their weekend's work. It's the wind really whipping up here, the Motorland Aragon. Fortunately, the forecast rain stayed away. And therefore, although we had the safety car, we didn't have an unduly disrupted race. So a chance to once more enjoy the panorama of the circuit really appreciate the substantial undulation changes around the lap of the Motorland Aragon. Circuit designed, as is the case with so many recent tracks, by Hermann Tilke, but this one provides a really dynamic challenge and always creates the conditions, as we saw today, for some very entertaining wheel-to-wheel racing. So waiting for the drivers to come up on to the podium. You may, so often it happens that after the intensity of 35 minutes or so of racing, how hard the drivers can then actually find it to get themselves up to the podium, often getting lost within the innards of race control. As in the back of the shot you can see the spectators enjoying some stunt driving displays. Drivers still clearly being assembled before they come to the rostrum, but the flags all in place, ready to greet them onto the podium. Well, as I say, it's a short pause, the drivers, before they head on to the Monza circuit in a fortnight's time, before on to Zandvoort in mid-July, and then a fairly lengthy summer break before rounds in Jerez, then Estoril, the Ricardo Tormo circuit outside Valencia, and the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. That will bring the drivers through to the conclusion of the season. A bit of a pause here while we wait for the drivers to come on to the podium. Whether or not there is a little bit of discussion going on, we'll find out, but the podium is all set and ready. It's just the drivers who we need to assemble and get onto the rostrum. So not quite sure what discussions are ongoing, but we await the podium then for this, the fourth race of the EUROCUP-3 season. We should have José Garfías, Francesco Braschi and Esteban Masson coming up to take the acclaim of the pit lane in a moment's time. In the rookie podium, of course, it was Miran Pingasov, Bruno Del Pino and Suleiman Zamfari. So there's the stunt driving going on in the outer paddock. Still a bit of a pause ongoing, waiting for the drivers to come up onto the rostrum. But a super race nonetheless from the EUROCUP-3 runners. Plenty of dicing, plenty of wheel-to-wheel action. We'll look forward to plenty more of that to come this year. So from Ben Evans, it's goodbye.